Hello friends, today I am going to configure MongoDB sharded cluster with one shard. This is for the illustration purpose. Basically, there is no difference between a replica set and a sharded cluster with one shard. Here I choose single shard for implementation purpose. Shard is the component which actually holds data in the sharded cluster. Config component holds metadata and MongoOS acts as a query router. I will launch 7 AWS instances. 3 will be for 3 replica members of config servers. Another 3 will be for 3 replica members of one shard, and remaining one will be for MongoOS. So no more theories. Let's dive into the implementation. This is my AWS account, and here I will choose T2 T1 micro free tier instances and keep other settings as it is. Selecting the existing security group as it has the inbound rule on 27017 port. And I have PEM key file in my D directory, so I will use the existing AWS key. Now opening few terminals to connect each of the instances. First of all, I will connect 3 instances for members for 3 members of config module. I'm connecting each of the member of config replica set. Here config means configuration server replica set. After being root, I will install the MongoDB on each of the instances. So I am skipping the installation part, and after installation, I am coming here to configure or to change something on configuration file on each of the MongoDB instances. Before that, I need to create the key file, and this key will be copied into all the members in the sharded cluster. And basically I have kept the same location for all members, and will give the same permission to in all the members. and this is the second member where I am changing its permission of the key file. Now I am changing the mongod.conf configuration file on each of the instances one by one. So what changes I need here? I need to change the bind IP and its security, then replica set name, and role of the server in the Sharded cluster. So let's have a look of the in the configuration file. This is the key file location. I am changing the locations, all the parameters, all the configuration on on all three servers at the same time. So the time taken for copy pasting will be reduced. Now I will put the replica set name, which is CFG. Now I will mention the role of this server in the sharded cluster. So as this is the configuration file for the config server, so the role will be config svr. So all the modification on all configuration files are now done. Now I will restart servers one by one. Now it looks good. Oh, the service name is wrong. So, oh, it's okay. Now this is the third server. So everything looks fine. Now it's the time to set up the replication. So from the AWS console, I can get the private IP of each of the instances or each of the replica set member for config servers. So log in into one of the Mongo, and you can install telnet to just check whether one Mongo can talk to Mongo from other instance. So I'm just checking one IP address, and it seems fine, because in the security group 27017 port was whitelisted for all the instances. It basically use a single security group. Now I will instantiate the replication through this command, and I have choose anyone. One can choose any one of the Mongo server. So I have choose here the first one and execute the command, and then it looks good as it OK equals to colon 1, and after few seconds it will become primary. Yes, now it is primary. So the configuration or setup for config servers are now completed. Now let's begin configuring the shard. So again, logging into each of the three members of shard replica set. In similar way, like for config servers, I will also skipping the installation part for MongoDB for replica members of shard. Now I am coming after MongoDB installation to put the key files, give the permissions for key files, and now I will copy the key from the member of config replica set and paste it here in each of the replica set member for shard, and we'll change the permission with 400 and change owner with MongoD. So now we'll change or give permission on three servers one by one. Basically creating key file and populating the key file and changing its permission for all the members of sharded cluster can be done in one go, but as of now I am doing separately. Actually I am uh, preparing one component at a go. Now what are the changes I need to make in configuration file? So similarly, the binder will be changed, and for security, I will put the key file location. Now let's have a look. What will be the changes or what will be the configuration for shard member? This is the second server, and this is the third server. So changing the configuration, all configuration of all three servers I am doing simultaneously. Now, what would be the role for this server in the sharded cluster? Yes, now before that, I will change or I will put here the replica set name. Replica set name is the shard1. So cluster role will be the shard server because it is a member of shard. So now all the modification are done now for shard. Next, I will start servers one by one. So we are starting Mongo one by one. Next, I will log in into one of the Mongo to initiate the replication, and again the IPs of the member can be found from the AWS console. Here IP is the private IP for each member of shard1 replica set. And here you need to put the ID or the replica set name inside the quotes, double quotes, and execute here. And if OK colon 1, then it seems fine. And after a few seconds, it will be promoted as a primary. And for this time, election is happening in the background. Now it is primary. So now shard1 configuration is completed, but here we can create a administrative level user for the maintenance purpose of the individual shards. Here you can see the username is shards underscore admin underscore user. So this admin user will be used for any maintenance purpose in the shards, not on the uh, not on the entire cluster. So now user has been created. Now I am looking into the config server primary to get details of the member IPs. So now I will configure the MongoS. Here I also give the key file location, and in the config DB I will give all the details for config replica set. The first CFG is the replica set name, and I'm going to fetch all the member IPs with rs.status, which is being executing in primary of config servers. So this is the primary IP of config server. This is the another member which is secondary. And the remaining one member is the third member. Now this is the minimum modification which is needed in the configuration file for Mongo S. So now I will connect to the Mongo S instance. Oh, I think Mongo S instance is already connected. The IP is 1230. Okay. Yes, this is the 1230. Okay, this is the Mongo S. And now opening the okay. Before that, I will create a Mongo s.conf file, which is similar to mongod.conf file, but I will change or comment some portion in the configuration file. Like I will remove the data storage, journal, and the storage section because MongoOS itself doesn't store any data and keep other information as it is, like log location, then fork, process management. Now I am changing the port to 7018, and obviously bind IP will be 000, so any application server can connect this MongoOS. And in the security I will put the key file location, which is etc key file. And for the sharding tag, it is the location where we just put information of the config servers. So here we just informing the MongoOS that these are the config server and you need to fetch some metadata from these config servers. So I will start MongoOS with configuration file etc mongoos.conf. It's cool. It has been started now. Now logged in into the Mongo with port 27018. Now I will create a administrative level user which will be used for any task in the sharded cluster. Here the username is cluster admin user and it has a role for cluster admin, user admin any database, read write any database. So now I need to authenticate this user. Either I can exit from the Mongo shell and enter into the Mongo shell with proper credential, or db.auth method. So inside the db.auth method, first parameter will be the username and the second parameter will be the password. If it gives 1, then authentication is successful. Oh, cool. It's cool. So now the last stage is need to add the shard. So command is sh.add shard, and here as a parameter I need to provide shard name or the replica set name of the shard and its primary IP. And MongoOS or the Mongo sharded cluster has the inbuilt ability to discover all the members of shards if I put the primary IPs. So here actually I am trying to execute the command in shard1, but it needs authentication. So I need to authenticate the user with db.auth method. There is also another way to find all the IPs of the replica member of the shard1, but from shard1 with rs.status command I can get all the members IP. So this is the first member, or you can say this is the primary, and the replica set name slash primary IP with its port, and it will discover the other member. So yes, it seems fine. Now if I execute sh.status, then I can get how many shards are currently being working with this sharded cluster. As of now, it is a there is a one shard, and MongoDB automatically discover all the member IPs also. So this is how uh, we complete the configuration of a sharded cluster with one shard, and we can add another shard also in the same process. So let's have a look, or to, to get the precise steps which we have done. So we have created key file in one of the instance of config servers replica set, and we'll copy this key file to all the members in the clusters, and we'll give the same permission to the key files. After that, we will configure the config servers. So these are the minimum requirement or minimum changes in the mongod.config file in each member of the replica set of config server. After that, I will initiate the replica set for config server, and next I will configure the shard 1. So in shard 1, these are also the changes I need to execute on the mongod.config file on all members of shard 1, and this is how to initiate the replica set. After that, I will create a administrative level user which will be used basically for maintenance purpose of the individual shards, and it has the cluster admin role and other roles as well, like db admin role, user admin, any database, read write any database. And lastly, this is the MongoS, and this is the minimum change we need in the in its configuration file. And CFG is the replica set name of the configuration server replica set, and those are the IPs of member in its replica set. Next, to create admin level user for the entire cluster, and this user will be used to perform any DML operation, administrative level operation for the entire sharded cluster. And the last step which I have not mentioned here is sh.add shard.